there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're here in Kyoto, Japan, the former capital of Japan, for the 5 things you're going to love and hate about visiting Kyoto. And the thing is, Kyoto is a wonderful place with 17 UNESCO World Heritage sites around the city and around the area, and it is a wonderful place to go to. And we've really fallen in love with it. We've been here for a while, but the thing is, I'm gonna have to tell you some of the bad stuff and not just say how much I love this place, okay? But the thing is, let's get to the bad news out of the way so that I can focus on the things I really love about coming here. And the first thing you're not gonna like when you come here is gonna be something you notice after a few days here, and that is temple burnout. You know how it is when you travel and you see church after church after church after church, it kind of blurs together. Well, here, after temple after temple after temple after temple and shrine, it does kind of blur together. And the thing is there's amazing temples here. There's amazing walks to have, and I'm going to talk about those later. But after a while, it all kinds of blur together. So what I recommend is take the time to go see some of the museums, the Kyoto National Museum, or take your kid to the zoo if you're here with your kids, or go down to the market, which I'll talk about in my loves, or go explore the city, go shopping, go eating. Take a break, because if you go to these temples too often, it all kinds of blurs together. And the thing is, there's UNESCO World Heritage Site shrines here. If you go out to the Golden Pavilion, it's fantastic. Or if you go over here to the Higashiyama district, I know I'm butchering the words, just go along with me on here, but you go there and you can walk from one UNESCO World Heritage Site to another, and while you walk through, there's about 50 other temples you want to go see, and parks and pagodas and stuff like that, and there's tourists going through, and it's just a really amazing experience. But the thing is, you're going to get burned out from them all, okay? The second thing you're not going to like when you do come here is this is a very popular tourist city, not just for foreigners, but also for Japanese tourists. And so when you're doing the walks and you're going to the markets and stuff like that, you will be squished up. I mean, it is Japan, so there's a lot of people in a small island, but in a place like this, it gets extremely packed. Especially when it's on school holidays or there's special events, like the cherry blossoms are blooming. We're here during the fall foliage to enjoy the leaves changing, and there's just so many tourists, and we're just all smudged up, and there's these narrow roads and things like that, so it can get kind of frustrating. And I saw some tourists getting quite agitated, so do just relax. It's Japan. You'll eventually get there. People will help you to figure out these things, but that's something you might not like, is just it can get really packed on those small walkways and small pathways when you're going to see the shrines and you're going to go see some of the things. I will tell you, when you're going to the temples and stuff around Kyoto, if you're here on a weekend, even in low season, it's going to be busy. So plan accordingly. Now, the third thing you might not like when you come to Kyoto is those really awesome UNESCO sites you really want to go see. The main temples, the Golden Pavilion, all these things, they're on the outskirts of town. And to get there, you've got to go through the, let's say, not so picturesque downtown area. And the thing is, it's just like any big city. I mean, it's 1.5 million people here. You're not going to have the prettiest buildings around, so it is kind of blasé going out there. But it is kind of annoying having to go to those outskirts. And the thing is, the subways don't go to the outskirts. The buses do, but the subways don't always go there. And I know for tourists, sometimes it's easier with subways than buses, so that is an issue there. But you can take taxis out to the place. They're not too bad to get out there, especially if you're traveling with friends. See, look, there goes one right there. You can pick them up on the street, no problem. You can call in for them. There's apps for it as well, so you can get that. But it is kind of one of those things that, all those cool sites, but they're not down where you're staying. They're more outside, okay? Now, the fourth thing you might not like when you come to Kyoto is there is a lack of English and English menus in general when you do come here, which is odd because there's so many tourists from around the world that come here, and they have actually a really good tourism infrastructure. But when it comes to English, it will be limited. So when you go to restaurants, you'll be lucky if you have an English menu. So that's why always look at the pictures or the plasticized versions of the food outside to give you an idea what's there. And it's not too hard to just point and say ichi, so one, okay, to make your life easier. Also, what you might not like on the tourism side of things is that the hotels and the apartments and the places you stay when you are here, it is very small. So if you're going to be traveling with a group like our kids, we had to rent an apartment because we couldn't get a hotel that would hold all 4 of us. So that is one thing you might want to think about. But overall, the infrastructure is good, just a couple little issues out there. And the thing is, the food is fantastic when you are here, and the infrastructure is quite helpful. And the thing is, you might notice I have all this schmutz all over the front of me. Well, there's a good reason for that, because the food is so great. But the fifth thing you might not like, well, let me tell you about that. Now, another thing you might not like when you do come to Kyoto is that between, after lunch and before dinner, a lot of the restaurants do close, especially here in the historic district and stuff like that, because you want to go to eat in all these older places and have your ramen and have all your local cuisines and stuff. but it's closed between lunch and dinner. So make sure when you do come here, eat lunch at lunchtime, eat dinner at dinner time. I know it sounds silly, but if you're not going to be able to eat, before 2 in the afternoon or after 6 in the evening, sometimes it's hard to find some of these places you really want to eat at, so you can get covered in ramen sauce or some of the really good food that's out there. So just a heads up for that one. But that's the 5th thing you might not like when you're here. Overall, this is a fantastic place to visit, and we'll go and start our loves of Kyoto, because we've loved Kyoto so far. It's fantastic. So those are things you might not like about coming to Kyoto, but I'll be honest, this place is fantastic. And I know I talked about the temple Burnout. Well, look, the first thing you're going to love coming here are all those temples you're going to go see. Yes, you're going to be going to see, the nuns in Zen garden and the temples there, and you're going to be walking through, and you are going to be walking down to the Higashiyama district and seeing all those things there and taking in all those temples. It's just a gorgeous thing, and you see temple after temple after temple, but it is just an amazing thing. And what's cool about seeing all these temples and going all around here is the second thing I love about coming here is that it's extremely walkable. You can go from place to place to place to place, because yes, there are tons of temples and tons of sites next to each other, and you can walk it. And that's what's so cool. So my kids can see stuff and they're not getting bored. When are we at the next place? You're walking and there's another thing to see. There's another thing to see. There's another thing to see. And that's what's really cool about it. You get to have that walkability in a big city with all these great sites. Now, I know I said some of those sites are kind of like off to the different parts of the city, but what's cool is a lot of them are kind of clumped together, so you can kind of see one area and walk around and see that, and then go to another part to see another area. So that's kind of cool. Now, the third thing you're going to love when you do come to Kyoto is the nature throughout the city. And yes, you can come to the Gyoen district. I know I'm saying it wrong, but you can come through here, see these beautiful back streets and see the water running through. But also the best part is when you go explore those temples, also you can hike and go in the bamboo forest, and you go hike in the mountains and stuff like that. You have all this beautiful nature here in Kyoto that you really take in. So you get the temples and you get the nature put together. Man, it is just gorgeous. So like I was saying, the nature you can enjoy when you are here in Kyoto is awesome, just walking down the river and things like this. The 4th thing you're going to love is when you go into town, when you go in and see the Nishiki market. That is the covered market you go through, and you eat things you never even heard of or even have an idea what it is. I had a thing that was made with octopus and something, and I have no idea what it was. It was kind of like an octopus corn dog. Actually, it was pretty good. The boys really enjoyed it. Caleb had squid on his stick, and there was scallop on the stick, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff, and people letting you try their foods, and that's where you get that really like, wow, I'm in another place, another country kind of thing, and it's a really authentic and awesome experience when you do come here. The thing is, I will warn you, when you go through there, it does get very full, and it is a thin, like alleyway that all the shops are on, so it can get a little bit tight, but it's okay. Everybody's going in their directions, and when you get to the end of it, if you don't like the authentic markets in Japan, well, don't worry, there's a mall at the end of it, okay? And the 5th thing you're gonna love when you come here is all the cultural opportunities you have when you are here in Kyoto, and the tourism infrastructure they do have. Now, with the tourism infrastructure, that means there are a lot of hotels and apartments and houses you can rent, which is awesome. And the subways and buses, they go all over the place, like I've said before. And the thing is there's restaurants, there's entertainment, there's tours, all kinds of stuff geared for the tourists, which is awesome. But the awesomest part of that thing is the culture that is here in Kyoto. Yes, you do have the temples that I've talked about ad nauseum, but also you have cool museums you can go to, you have national monuments you can see, you have also, when you walk through different districts, you actually see the geisha when you walk around. You see these things and it kind of takes you back. And this is really the cultural Japan that you're dreaming of visiting. This is Kyoto. Kyoto is that Japan, and that's what I love about this. Tokyo is that new age, crazy kind of modern future Japan, but this is the Japan that you're gonna love. And that's why it's the 5th and best part of coming to Kyoto is the culture and all the great stuff here. So those are the 5 things that I loved and hated about coming to Kyoto. Honestly, it's a fantastic place. We really look forward to coming back here, because really, you come here, the people have been fantastic, the food's been fantastic, the temples, the walkability, going to the market. Oh my God, my son told me the other day going to the market was the best thing of his life. I mean, it's one of the greatest things to hear when your kids say that thing. So he's sitting there eating the squids and stuff like that. I mean, I've already told you those things about that, but that's just it. You're gonna have a great time here. I do highly recommend it. It's about 2.5 hours on the fast train, the bullet train from Tokyo. It's easy to do. You can take taxis all over the city. There's an app where you can get taxis. The buses go all over the place. The subways do go a lot of places, but they don't get to all the all the tourist destinations you want to go to. But honestly, this is a fantastic city. I highly recommend it. Tokyo and Kyoto should be your top 2 places to come see in Japan, and for good reason. Anyway, I'll say bye, or sayonara, from the old capital of Japan, Kyoto. Bye. So what's it taste like? Oh, you got an egg in this.
Is that an egg or its brain? I think it's its brain. Egg. No, it's a quail's egg. There's a quail's egg in there. Eat some tentacles.